The purpose of this mini lesson is to give you a tip on solving equations that have decimals in them. I should have said in the fraction lesson that please forgive my handwriting. I'm just learning how to use this tool. I will do the best that I can, and I'm sure hoping that I will improve over time. So anyway, let's look at our first equation, 0.2 m plus 2.1 m is 4.6. We have three values and three values with decimals to the tenths place. So what would be more convenient for us is if these decimals were actually integers. So the way that we take care of integer decimals and make them into integers is by multiplying them by some number that will make the decimals move in such a way that they become a whole number. And so the way that we do that would be to multiply each one of the numbers by the number 10. So the way we're going to do that is to distribute the 10, each one of the numbers inside the group. By doing that, by multiplying both on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the equals sign, we maintain the equality of the equation, even though we're transforming it. So I'm going to distribute the 10, and first multiply the 10 times the 0.2 m. And what happens is this decimal point, it moves over one place. And so we end up with 2m. Then I take the 10 and I multiply it times 2.1 m. And again, it moves the decimal place over one position, and we get plus 21 m. And finally, I take the 10 and I multiply it times 4.6, and it also moves that decimal place over one, and so we get equal to 46. Now, an integer problem is much simpler to solve. We have two like terms here we can combine, so we get 23 m's equal to 46. 23 is multiplying times m, so to undo that, we divide by 23. And so what we get is m equal to 2. So that's a lot faster than trying to simplify decimals and count tenths and roll over to whole numbers. And so we can do that for all kinds of problems and problems with different numbers of decimal places. Here we have one decimal place at negative 0.5x. Here we have two decimal places at negative 3.69. Here we have no decimal places and one decimal place with negative 1.9 and two decimal places with negative 2.39. So the way that the power of 10 that we're going to choose, because again, we're going to try to make that decimal place move over, will be to the power of the most number of decimal places we need to move. Now, the most number of decimal places we need to move is 2 places, so that this number here, with the highest number of decimal places, will become a whole number. And so for this case, then, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 100. So I multiply everything by 100. So first, 100 times negative 0.5x takes this decimal point and it moves it 2 places. So imagine that. It becomes 50x. And then I take 100 and I multiply it times negative 3.69, and it takes care of those two decimal places, and we have 369. I do the same on the other side. I end up with 100x. I hope I have room for all of this. I end up with this going 2 places, right? So I'm going to have negative 190. And finally, I'm going to multiply. So I've multiplied times this number, and I've multiplied times this number. And now finally, I'm going to multiply times this number, and I get minus 239. Okay, so now no decimals, easy integers to combine together. Let's put these like terms on this side together. So we're going to write 50x minus 369 is equal to 100x, and negative 190 and negative 239 will yield, let me see, oh, hold on, a pause. Negative 190 will give me, where's my pen? Negative 9, 12, negative 429. Do believe that's correct. Okay, so now we have x terms on opposite sides. So let's move variables together. Let's subtract the 50x because that's easier than subtracting 100 from 50. I like to have positive values to work with. Here I have negative 369 equal to, now I have 50x minus 429. Now we're down to a two-step equation. It's all right if we solve the x by leaving it on the right-hand side and moving the numbers to the left-hand side. So let's add 429 first, because we do addition subtraction moves first when we have two-step solving. We're adding negative 369 to positive 429. We end up with 0, 6, 60. And that's equal to 50x. And finally, we divide by 50 on both sides. And this becomes the number 1. So we have x on the right. And 6/50ths, we can reduce, sorry about that, reduce the zeros. So we get 6/5. Much easier than having to manage all of the decimals, adding and subtracting them. Much easier way to eliminate them. So I hope this tip helps you and that you start applying it in the work that you do when you're solving equations and you have decimals.